Quick Talks continue as we predicted last night. But tonight, I had my say last night with some of you after live comments. Monday night on the United Stand is always Skype Goldbridge, and Skype will be open for you to take your calls about Mourinho or anything Manchester United. Maybe you're still annoyed by the weekend. Maybe you're annoyed by Mourinho's comments. Also, would love to get some comments on this Luke Shaw nonsense over the... Well, I call it nonsense. Maybe some of you don't. He got so much abuse at the weekend. Played at the weekend for the under-23s. They lost 4-2 against West Ham. And Luke Shaw apparently wasn't that good. I haven't seen it. But he got a hell of a lot of stick. Telling him to get out of the club. He's lazy. He's not up for a fight. He's a disgrace to the badge. Lots of stuff like that. Maybe somebody might want to call in and have a little bit of a say about Luke Shaw. But... we'll open up with Mourinho. Why wouldn't we open up with Mourinho? He's in the news at the moment and he's dividing Manchester United fans. Some people saying, you know, I wouldn't miss him if he went. His football's boring against big teams. It's embarrassing. Some people saying he should go because no manager should be flirting with another club when they're at Manchester United. Some people say it's funny. He's just doing it to get a new contract and he will get one. He's going nowhere. What I do think is that Mourinho's doing his press conference tomorrow for the Benfica game. I'll be very surprised if Jose doesn't provide some clarity to those comments and backtrack a bit, because as much as Mourinho loves himself and loves to play the press, he will not want to upset Manchester United fans and may have been a little bit misguided on that. But interesting evening ahead, and we're going to take our first call. Hopefully he will pick up. Lots of people calling in already. Don't worry, we will be getting your calls and giving all your thoughts on it. That doesn't look... Oh, Flex, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How you doing, pal? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm good.
Good. Flex obviously was doing the fan cams at the weekend. Also, we've got the video going up this week of Juan Mata, which I've just been editing, which is absolutely fantastic. But Flex, give us your thoughts on Jose Mourinho, first of all. Yesterday saying that he doesn't see... Well, he won't finish his career at Manchester United, which, to be honest, many of us might have predicted anyway. But the comments about PSG, well, it's about Paris, but really it's about PSG. Has got a lot of United fans, well, some upset, some not so. What was your interpretation of those comments?
For me, I think it's the timing of those comments, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said to someone on Twitter earlier on, I mean, I'm under no illusions that Jose is not going to finish, that Jose is going to finish his career at United. I think we all know that his span at a club is probably no longer than 3 years. I don't think he's ever done longer than 3 years at any of the big clubs he's been at. So that's not a surprise to me. But considering, you know, the nature of our performance against Liverpool, because it is a point, we haven't lost, but the nature of the performance, and with us trying to, you know, get back the glory days, as they say, and try and kick on to the next stage, to come out and say that at that point, for me, is a bit baffling. On the flip side, you know what Jose's like. He's capable of putting spanners into the works. I've seen a lot of people writing that he could be doing this to deflect all attention away from how bad a performance it was at Liverpool. That's possible. But he's also doing it to put a feeder out there. You know what Jose's like. It could be a come and get me PSG. I am interested further down the line. Yes, he might stay maybe a year, maybe another 2 years, but we know his lifespan's not that long. So I'm not surprised at that. It's just the timing that's really got me. I think when we're trying to concentrate on, you know, first of all, dissecting a bad performance and, you know, on our way into Champions League and need a positive performance to get back on the positive, we don't need our manager coming out and saying, you know, the PSG project looks pretty nice. I wouldn't mind popping over there. We just don't need it right now.
No, I think maybe. I mean, I've read a lot of people saying that as well. Oh, it's just deflective tactics to take us away from moaning about the Liverpool result. But actually, I think if that's his tactics, it's a really stupid and naive one, because instead of what he's trying to avoid, if that was his tactics, of United fans saying, oh, we parked the bus at Liverpool, which a lot of us don't think we did, Mkhitaryan just didn't turn up, we're now questioning his loyalty to the club that we thought he was quite loyal to. So it's backfired, is what I would say, if he's trying to deflect the story of the weekend to something else, because many fans' interpretation is that he's flirting with PSG, and what respect does that show to Manchester United and the United fans who do back him?
Exactly. I mean, when he first come to the club, you're looking at his interviews and thinking, you know, he is in love with the club in terms of he understands the stature of the club. He can feel it's different to a Chelsea or Porto or Inter. Yes, Real Madrid are obviously a huge club as well in world football, but you could sense that all around Jose, and he said all the right things, especially after under Van Gaal when we were so negative. To see him come in, it just seemed like a perfect fit. I mean, felt a bit bad for Van Gaal, to be fair. Not that I didn't want him gone, but just in the nature of it, he still had the FA Cup in his hands, and we were just like, right, Jose, get him in. So when he first come, we're thinking this is it, and like you said, it does kind of throw a bit of water over the fire, really, of the love he has for United, because you think, well, hang on a minute, 18 months ago, he's saying, this is the biggest job I've had, and I'm really looking to change it here and get us back to the big time, etc. And it just looks like at the first sort of distraction, or he's turning his head. So for me, I just think, like I said, the timing of it. I'm not expecting Jose to stay here 5 to 10 years and start a Sir Alex revolution. Of course not. It's not his style. But for him to say these comments just now, it makes us, does he lack the credibility that he's shown when he first come to the club?
Yeah, I still think there are some United fans who really do think he's going to be here for a long time. But whilst history shows Mourinho wins the title in his first 2 years, it also shows that he's gone by year 3. So, and already to be making comments like that, who knows what his agenda is behind that? But there's no way of dressing it up other than the fact that he shouldn't be making those comments if he wants to endear himself to United fans. But having said that, I don't generally think that anybody. I mean, there are people on the United Stand Live comments. I'm sorry to name you, Andrew Ellis, but I sort of respect you in a way because you've been consistent from day one with Mourinho that you'd never wanted him as your manager, and people can give you abuse for that. But he has been part of the United Stand for a long time. I noticed a lot of people who have been, and he is somebody who didn't want Mourinho from the start. And maybe I think that's wrong, but at least he is consistent about it. Do you think that, taking away his comments, that Manchester United fans will stomach that sort of a result at the weekend, which I think we will see again? I think we'll probably see it very soon in the Chelsea game. That sort of approach to a game. And do you think it's is it going to be good enough just to get draws against the top teams?
I think it's something we're just going to have to accept, unfortunately. Jose Mourinho, I said it, I think when Ross was saying, and you guys were saying before the Liverpool match, you want to see him go all guns blazing, and I sort of played devil's advocate to say not a chance. It's not within Jose's DNA. Jose doesn't turn up to a club and think, right, I'm going to adhere to traditions of this club to get you what you want. I'm going to play expansive football. No, he says, I know my way. My way's worked, and that's who I am. You've employed me, and you're not going to get anything different out of Jose. So I wanted Jose. I did want him, not just because it was the perfect fit, but he is a winner. He does have a winning mentality, and he demands that from the players. But on the flip side of that, if you're going to have someone like Jose at your team, you're just going to have to accept that in those big games away from home, that he is going to stack up for a draw. He is going to be difficult to beat. He's never done anything different. So we're not going to expect, well, I don't expect him to, and I think you'd be silly to expect anything different from Jose. Yes, it was frustrating. I did think that we'd play, again, more attacking than we did. But again, was I shocked at that? No. Was I shocked that Mourinho wanted a point? No. So we can't really complain. We know what we're getting. It does what it says on the tin, as they say.
Yeah. Thanks for opening the call for us, Flex. Couldn't be on last night because he was at a concert. I think it was Ricky Martin, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, not quite right now. I was at the J. Cole concert, but I couldn't make it. But no problem with coming on today. I had to get back on.
No worries. I'll speak to you later, pal. Thanks for coming on and opening the show.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Ta-da. Obviously, Flex is doing the fan cams for us and got lots of things planned, which is great. And let me just take some of your calls. We are going to be taking a lot of your calls tonight. I presume a lot of it's going to be about Mourinho. Everyone's got an opinion on it, and that's what this show's all about. So let's listen to everybody, what they've got to say, and give them a chance. Also, I hope somebody wants to come on and give us an opinion on Luke Shaw, because I realise he divides opinion, and it'd be nice to get a couple of opinions on that. But Infuse says, I want Mourinho to manage. Well, I don't know what he's on about there. It says PSG, but I can't really understand the comment. I always wanted Antonio Conte before he went to Chelsea, says A Nightmare on Subflux Street. I wonder how he would have played and lined up if he'd been fully backed, says Sally Devil Red Mitchell. That's a good point. I don't believe Mourinho's been fully backed, you know. I said this today. A lot of the press and a lot of people are just gloating or polishing Man City at the moment, saying, oh, you know, how fantastic they are and Pep Guardiola's the best manager in the world. I guarantee you, if Mourinho had the money that Pep's had, the only reason City are above us in the title is because they've had more money. And people can say it's because of the way they're playing football. Nonsense. Mourinho hasn't had the money that Pep has had. And if he did have, we'd have at least 2 more first-team players and we'd be a better team for it. So that's my theory on that at the moment. His tactics are slow, says Joshy HD. Look, I think on his tactics are what they are. But we'll see what happens in relation to that. It's still early days. I'm starting to quote things that I shouldn't be because it's from a video we haven't even put up for you yet. But let's take... hopefully we should have Andy on the line. Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Mark, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Good. What do you want to talk about, Andy? Mourinho or Luke Shaw or something else?
Just the result in general, really. I think that's the only thing, really. Saturday, it was absolutely huge in our season. Not, just because it's Liverpool. It was a big 6 rival, and we were finally about to see if Jose would line up, offensively against Liverpool, and he didn't. I thought he'd maybe let the horses run free, as he said so often. But I know, Mark, you disagree that you think Jose parked the bus. In my view, he did. Lukaku, he had no support whatsoever from the midfield, and Young and Martial were effectively extra fullbacks, really. Mkhitaryan, I think we've all said what needs to be said about him. He was non-existent. And I think that is down to the manager. Jose's clearly said to the players before the game, stay disciplined, stay in position, take no risks whatsoever, don't try and win the game. We'll just get out of here with a point. And it's just really disappointing because, as you said throughout the show on the week, Liverpool were there for the taking. They've been absolutely dire this season defensively. Easily the worst defensive record out the top 6, and we didn't have once have a go at them, and it's just really, really disappointing.
I think there's a couple of things, because you just reminded me something, and Flex dropped it into my head as well. This we shouldn't be surprised because it's what Mourinho does, but I hark back to just before Mourinho got the job, and there was this letter that apparently he'd written to United board about what he would do if he was given that opportunity, because let's not forget he'd been sacked by Chelsea, so he was down on his luck a little bit and desperate to get the United job. And I don't think United were desperate to get him. I think we made the decision about Van Gaal, but that was made in May. If we'd got top 4, Van Gaal was going to stay. So Mourinho wasn't somebody United were desperate to get. They got him because he was desperate for the United job. And I think promises were made by Mourinho that he would adhere to sort of the traditions of Manchester United. And I just wonder if there's some sort of issues behind closed door with Mourinho's approach in the big games. And United, for all their criticism, we've got some key board members in the likes of Sir Bobby Charlton, Sir Alex Ferguson, who know the traditions of Manchester United. And I just wonder if these are the rumblings of the beginning of problems, in the fact that it's not the first time we've done this. It's not the first time in Mourinho's 14-15 months that he's taken us to a big rival and disappointed us. In fact, it's the second time he's done it at Liverpool. And my thoughts are that I was very surprised, and I think maybe as fans we naively expected us to go and do something against, I believe, a poor Liverpool side. But I will, I know it's only Monday, and some people say I'll move on. I haven't moved on since about the Stoke result. I still think that was a shambles and 2 points drop. So the Liverpool one, it's going to take a bit of getting over, I think, because it was just, it was non-existent, the performance, in an attacking sense.
Yeah, I'm not a United fan that expects us to play, the United way every week, because it's just not possible. I could understand because City are on a red hot run of form at the moment. I could understand if we were playing City away on Saturday and Mourinho used them tactics. I could fully understand that, as frustrating as it is, because they are well, they're banging in goals for fun, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, I'd agree with it. I just want to say there. I think everyone at home probably, if they thought about it, would. If we were playing City on Saturday, I'm sorry, with the players we've got missing and the form we're in, we're not ready to go toe to toe with City. And actually, I'd like somebody to show the blueprint of how you beat City, because nobody seems to get the fact that you need to have two banks of players and kill the space. So I would agree with you on that on City. Yeah.
Mark Hughes was never going to do that, was he? Because he's not playing Man United, is he? Like you said before, it's his annual FA Cup final when Man United come to town. So that's just Mark Hughes for you, and he's a joke of a manager. I hope he gets sacked soon. But
what did you think about Mourinho's comments on yesterday? That I know I spoke about him last night, and it's obviously the Skype show tonight, so if people want to talk about them, that's fair enough. But,
yeah.
What do you think's behind that? Some people think it's just all a ploy to get the new contract offer. Some people are saying, well, it's a dangerous game to play games like that because you've actually annoyed a lot of your loyal supporters. So what's your feeling and thoughts on it?
Well, I saw an article from Guillaume Balaguer today saying that he was sitting on the fence, basically saying, like what you said, Mourinho could be using it as a ploy to get a new contract, or maybe not his end game, but one of the sort of objectives of his career is to go to Paris. I can't see why. Well, apart from money reasons, really, because it's a dead league. He'd win the league every year. It's not really a challenge, is it? I mean, if Laurent Blanc can do it, then I think anyone can do it.
Yeah.
So, but to come out with that, like the last caller said, the timing of it as well. It's not after we've just beaten Crystal Palace 4-0. It's after we've gone to Anfield and had one shot on target and played pretty dire. And it's the timing of it. And I'm sorry, he's not bigger than the club. He never will be, and neither any of the players. So if he wants to leave, let him leave. To be honest, if he does leave, I'd like to see either Pochettino or Simeone from Atletico Madrid come in. I think he's a quality manager. The things he's done with that Atletico Madrid team, they've been really unlucky not to win the Champions League in the last 4 seasons. He's done miracles with that team.
He's still quite a defensive coach, though, Simeone.
He is, yeah, he is. He is still quite a defensive coach. But the things he's done with that Atletico team over the past 4 years, he's nothing short of a miracle, really.
Really good call, and thanks for calling in, Andy. Really enjoyed it, and please do call in again.
Yeah, we'll do. Cheers, Mark. All the best.
Thanks, pal, and you. Just picking up on what Andy said there, we've had a super chat as well from Sean Atwood. I was going to call him Sean because I know he's a regular on the comments. He says, if Jose doesn't want to be here, then he can F off. This is Manchester United, not Zlatan or Jose United. We can get another manager. Fellaini next manager. Laugh out loud. A lot of people would know that I really like Jose Mourinho, and it would hurt a lot if he went to PSG. I mean, I didn't like the fact that Mbappe and Neymar went to PSG because I don't like what PSG are doing in football. If they actually took, like we were talking about De Gea last week, if they took our manager, if they took Mourinho off us, I think I'd never turn my back on football, but I'd be absolutely gutted. I mean, I don't want Mourinho to go. I don't. I'm still in that stance of defending Mourinho because I don't want him to go. But if he did go, if he was playing silly games, then I would have to resort to that mentality that Sean and Andy have said there, that nobody's bigger than Manchester United, and if Mourinho wants to go, then I'd have to say go. But I can't believe that for 1 minute. But he shouldn't have come out with the comments. They were very misguided. To think that you could come out with that sort of a comment and get away with it, and United fans would just go, "Oh, it's just Jose," was a little bit naive. But what have I just done? I've just clicked something I shouldn't have clicked. What I wanted to do was take another call, of course, but there we go. Let's just have a quick look on the OneFootball app. You can download it, link in the video description. OneFootball, the One Matter. The reason I'm putting the OneFootball app is, let me just I follow Manchester United for the latest news. So let me just click them and get the latest news for you. Carragher questions Jose's way. Well, I'm not listening about Carragher. David De Gea is not my favourite goalkeeper, says Schmeichel. Yeah, because he's better than you. One Matter looks ahead to Manchester United's clash with Benfica. Well, we've got Juan Mata. Well, one little exclusive I can tell you about Juan Mata when we spoke about the One Football app is he said he uses it himself for all his results. So download it. The link's in the video description. If you don't believe he says that, you will find out later in this week. We haven't put the Juan Mata on the United Stand video up yet, but it is going up this week. Download it. It's on Apple and Android. But I just wanted to have Andres Pereira scored a cracker for Valencia yesterday. It's his first one for Valencia on loan. Man United will finish above Liverpool even if Mourinho parks the bus. Well, that's a written. There's no way we're not finishing above Liverpool. Mourinho could leave Manchester United as frustration grows. And what Manchester United are missing under Jose Mourinho, well, we're missing a number 10 if we go by Saturday's performance. Shots to goal ratio, is United defence the best? That's actually an article through the United Stand, and it's a good one if you've not read it on our website. Really good article by Jason again. Go and give that a read. That's on our website. And Paul Pogba provides another injury update. He's getting closer and closer. Man United boss Mourinho turns to Barcelona ace Umtiti ahead of Real Madrid's Varane. Umtiti. And obviously we're playing Benfica on Wednesday night. So the link's in the video description for the One Football app. Make sure you download it. We're on there, our website. So if only for that reason. We did have another super chat, which I will pick up in a minute. But I just want to grab another call. Let's grab Alex. I know he's been on a few times, but I think his opinion's always decent. Alex, hello. You're live on the United Stand.
Hello, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm good.
Go on then. Tell us what you think about this Mourinho saga.
I just think it's silly. I think it's silly, and all Mourinho wants is attention and money off PSG. He's crying to PSG, saying, sign me out, sign me now, I want you. He wants the money, and I think it's just silly.
You know what? I thought you were actually going to say I think it's silly. I think he just wants more money at United and a new contract. But you think he might be flirting with PSG then?
Yeah, I think he's definitely flirting with PSG, you know, saying that, oh yeah, his son's gone, and it's much nicer in Paris and everything. So yeah, I think he is just trying to get PSG to hand him a big paycheck and go there.
And what's your thoughts on that? If that's the case, I mean, obviously, I'll be honest with you, I'd be gutted. I really like Mourinho, and I thought he really liked us and the club. So if that was true, and nobody knows whether it is, I'd be really, really disappointed.
Yeah, I'd be really disappointed. You know, he's done quite well with us, apart from maybe the Liverpool game. You know, parking the bus. I think. No, he's not. That wasn't the best of games. But yeah, I'd be gutted to lose him.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I've got to believe that he's just. I wouldn't say he's had bad advice, because Mourinho probably takes no advice off anybody. I just think he's probably not said the right things, and I personally think that he's got no intention of going to PSG. I think he's probably not getting his own way at United on a few things, whether it's player recruitment or some other issue. And I think what he's doing is he's just sort of putting a little hand up to say, look, if I don't get what I want, I'll go. But I think he does want to stay. I think it's just a warning to the owners that they've got to start giving him stuff. And to be honest, I don't think he was backed in the summer. You look at what Pep's got and you look at what Mourinho's got, and Pep's been really backed. And I think Mourinho is suffering a bit because the owners just aren't really loosening the purse strings. But that we've been there before. We've seen that before.
Yeah. I also want to say, who do you think in the summer, if we could sign one player in particular, just one player, who would it be?
Based on what happened on Saturday, for me, it would have to be a number 10, because we didn't have one on Saturday. So I still believe in Griezmann, even though he annoyed me in the summer for not coming. So for me, it would be Griezmann in at number 10 for me. Yeah. What about you?
I agree with the number 10. Well, I don't agree with Griezmann. I think Dybala, personally, I think he's a better player, and I like him more than Griezmann. I still really wanted Griezmann to come in the summer, and I'm disappointed they didn't. But I prefer Dybala than Griezmann.
Okay, well, thanks for calling, Alex. Good call again, and speak to you again soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Ta-da. That reminds me, actually, just on the subject of Griezmann, for those who've not seen it, and I know a lot of you haven't seen it yet, Red Rumours went up today at 1 o'clock in the studio with the intro music, and we have got a poll up on there who you would want to replace Mourinho if he walked or was sacked. And I think we had Pochettino, one of the class of 92, Ancelotti, a couple of others. Go and watch the video after tonight and cast your vote, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Cobb Ross Aikins has made a contribution. Thank you to that. You can do it through the super chat below. We'll always read you out. He says, I love Jose, but if spending only 300 million in 2 summers means we can't compete with Liverpool and he's trying to blackmail us, then leave. Oh, God. I tell you what, I've got to try and reel this in. I know somebody was just saying, no, you need to wake up and smell the coffee with Mourinho because you back him too much. But we need to reel this in. We're unbeaten this season. He is the manager that I want to be at Manchester United. He's only annoyed me because of the comments about another club. I want loyalty. Like I said last year, I love Zlatan. I don't like the fact that he takes free kicks and he just came across that he's bigger than the club. Respect the club. That's why Mourinho disappoints me. I don't want him to go. And Cobb Ross Atkins has made another contribution. He says, thanks for that, Cobb. He says, we are the only big club who would stand by him even if we finish outside of the top 4, as we support our managers as long as they get the club. The moment you lose the fans, however, it is over. Yeah, well, Moyes didn't get the club, did he? And Van Gaal didn't get the club. But Mourinho has always got the club, and we have backed him as fans. But when you start making comments like that, it's dangerous, especially straight after a bad result. He's just got it wrong. I think Mourinho's got it wrong, and I bet he wishes he could retract that interview, because I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. And even if it was, you can't annoy. You know, a lot of United fans don't have a lot of time for the Glazers, or even Woodward, and they will back Mourinho over them. But you can't publicly put it out like that. Oh, Paris is great, because United fans will think, well, yeah, we may not like the Glazers, but they do own our club. We don't want our manager flirting with PSG, and that he's got to be careful with stuff like that. So I really hope tomorrow he comes out with a comment and he retracts it. But Joe, you're live on the United Stand.
Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Yeah, I've been on a few times, but not in a few weeks. I just wanted to get straight into it.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion, there's a clause in Man United managers' contracts. Let me just explain. Moyes, we lose 2-0 to Everton. What happens? Sacked just days after.
Yeah.
And Van Gaal, it comes down to the last 2 games. We lose 3-2 to West Ham. We need City to lose to Swansea. They get a draw. We beat Bournemouth. We win. We don't get top 4, and they can't sack him before a cup final. What happens Monday after the Saturday in the cup final? Sacked.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, you're spot on about Van Gaal for sure, because he definitely did get sacked because we didn't get top 4, and pretty much the same for Moyes. But I don't think we're not going to get top 4 under Mourinho.
Yeah, I think we will get it. Like people are moaning, but we've still got a 7-point gap over them, and I reckon we definitely can finish in top 3 this season.
What's your thoughts on just something I want to ask before we go back to Mourinho, because I'm sure you want to talk about that. But what is your thoughts on Luke Shaw? Because a lot of I've only seen it today, but on social media, Luke Shaw was getting a lot of stick at the weekend for his performance in the under-23s. A lot of people felt that he should be playing against Liverpool because Darmian's no left back, but Luke Shaw, it's not going well. It's not going well at all if you're playing terribly for the under-23s.
I think it's make or break for him this year. I've heard he could be included in the squad against Benfica, and think we have to give him a run out, because at the end of the day he's stalled with those injuries, but he can get back to fitness. However, I think if he doesn't prove it this year, you have to. It's a priority. Sign a new left back.
Yeah, well, there's talk of Danny Rose, isn't there? Marine, you're right about Luke Shaw. He has actually travelled with the squad to Benfica, as has Marcus Rojo, which is quite an interesting one. But on Mourinho's comments, then, it's only fair to ask everybody tonight, what is your thoughts on Mourinho's comments? Do you think he's got it wrong and he's not meant it like that, and he's inadvertently upset a lot of fans, or do you think he actually is thinking of doing something?
Well, I'm in 2 minds. I think it could be to reflect the press from the poor performance at the weekend and the missed opportunity. But I also think maybe Mourinho thinks he's not the special one anymore, because that would be a step down, to be honest, because it'd be an easier job. And I think if he took it at the end of the season and abandoned United after maybe a poor season, I think it's to get his career back on track, personally. But people will call me deluded, probably, but it's my opinion.
It's all about opinion. It is about opinion, Joe, and you should always stick by it. But thanks for calling in. Really good points again, and do call in again.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Thanks,
pal.
Mark.
Thank you. Let's have a look at... I've had another super chat from Cobb. He's on one tonight, maybe payday, but thank you. He says, net spend, we're only 3 million behind City. No one else has spent more than us in all of Europe, apart from PSG and City. I want him to stay, but respect us. Mind games to oppositions will back, not to us. Good point. And Ray Carl Brown Amore, thank you. He says, don't agree. We spend over 300 million on this side. So, and he has been backed by the board, and he should not be playing like that versus Liverpool. I don't think he has been backed enough. And the reason I back him on that, and I don't think the club did, is, yeah, we may have spent £300 million, but 100 million of that was on one player, basically Pogba. 75 million of that was on a striker because we needed to replace Rooney. And also, the big thing is that there's a comment here from Jared Pesserman I need to read out. He says, I blame the owner... In fact, it's a well-timed one, so thank you, Jared, for this. He says, I blame the ownership for this Jose Mourinho issue. Guardiola got backed with every player and reinforcement. Jose wanted more than he got. He is done settling for less. And I think that is a fantastic comment, because I think this is what is behind a lot of Jose Mourinho's frustrations at the moment, is that he's looking at what's happening at City, which he's got every right to. Sir Alex Ferguson used to do it all the time, the noisy neighbours, he will be annoyed by it. And I think that is exactly what this is all about. And yeah, it's very easy for United fans to say, well, he has been backed. He spent £300 million, and that's very close to what City spent. But what Pep Guardiola inherited at Manchester City is very different to what Mourinho has inherited at United. Mourinho inherited a broken, lacking confidence, poor United setup. Pep Guardiola inherited a bottling, mercenary Man City, but still full of Premier League winners. He had Aguero, he had Sterling, he had Silva, Company, and to name a few. Toure was still there. What's he brought in? Well, he's brought in Jesus, he's brought in Bernardo Silva, he's brought a couple of fullbacks, but he's, De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne was already there when Pep took over. Maybe not. I think he was. So some of their key players City already had. What did Mourinho inherit at United that was still a top player? Pogba's been bought in, Lukaku's been bought in, Zlatan's been bought in, Bay's been bought in. So there was a hell of a lot more work for Mourinho to do than there was for Pep at City. So the fact that Pep has actually spent more, albeit 3 million, is still very, very damning on the United board, because realistically, I think United need another 3 players. I think we need another 150 million just to get close to what City have got at the moment. So, yeah, you can say he spent 300 million, but as I said last night, Rooney goes out the club, Lukaku and Matic come in the club. Why do we think we can go from 6th to 1st from last season just because we've got Lukaku and Matic? They definitely improve us, but do they improve us to the levels that everyone thinks they should? And I agree with the result on Saturday. We should have approached it differently because Liverpool aren't that good. But I don't really want people to be starting to turn against Mourinho, if that makes sense. I don't, because I don't think the frustration should be about whether Mourinho should be our manager. It should be about the comments he's made being a bit off. Matthew Fadian, when I first read the comments about PSG, I thought it was disgraceful. However, Jose does have a point. The owners didn't quite back him enough, and hopefully this is just a warning to the Glazers. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a dangerous warning to make with the Glazers. Thanks for the comment, Matthew, because they won't necessarily take it as they should. Right, let's take another call. I want to take a few more calls, so do get calling in, and also drop a like on the video. Let's support our callers on the Skype show. Andrew, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Mark. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm doing all right. Kind of frustrated with the Jose Mourinho comments. I think that it's hard for me to understand, just being from America, that like somebody that's already at one of the top clubs in the world is even talking about maybe going somewhere else. Like I know with a lot of our coaches here, like in the NFL and stuff like that, when they're hard to hear.
Yeah, it's a really. I must admit, when I read it, well, I saw the comments last night. I was really surprised. I mean, I think it's great that somebody's come on and said they're still disappointed about the Liverpool result because I think we all are, and quite rightly. But I think having these comments they're just ill-timed. I don't know what he was trying to do with them really. The only positive I can take from them, and there's a few people have said it, is that hopefully he's just saying it to give the owners a bit of a kick up the backside, really, that they're not giving him the support he needs. And I mean, I don't know. You're American, the Glazers are American. I mean, do you think they have backed him enough, or do you think he's right to hopefully sort of ask for more and get more?
Well, I don't think he's wrong to ask for more. Absolutely not. I think that one of the large issues that Jose probably has, he felt like he wasn't backed enough. I mean, I feel like he was back to a certain extent, but I do think that he wanted one more and he did not get one more. So that to me says quite a lot that if he was asking for four, and especially when you look at what's going on with the squad and like trying to get that right winger that I feel like we really need. I feel like right now with the way Martial's playing, there really isn't anybody that's better from the left. We need somebody coming from the right and somebody that could put in that a natural cross from the right. And I honestly, you could even make an argument that we would need a left back as well, because just the performance from Darmian this weekend, as well as Mkhitaryan. I mean, but the performance for Darmian was also just one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. Like he messed up a throw-in. I don't know how you do that, but that to me was pretty disappointing.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, I didn't forget about it on the watch along. That's for sure. I was moaning like a trooper, but you just reminded me about that. What was I going to say? Yeah, the point about I mean, this is why you should always watch the United Stand to the end, because I'm going to bring out something over half an hour in here that will get people thinking. When I think back to the transfer window, obviously we were going to sign Griezmann. And he decided to stay at Atletico Madrid. Well, that was going to cost us £90 million, fact, because that's his release clause. And we were going to sign him. If he'd not had a pang of morality to stay at Atletico Madrid, we were going to sign him. So that just poses a point to me. If we had signed Griezmann, would we still have got Matic, Lukaku and Lindelof? I think we probably would. So that 90 million never got spent, and the number 7 shirt never got occupied. And I have said this a few times, I don't think you can afford at the top level of sport to just say, well, we didn't get that player, we'll wait for him next year and we'll keep the number 7 shirt free. Whoever's involved in that, and I think Mourinho has to be involved in that, that's not just the owners, that is a decision that really, maybe they couldn't find a replacement at such a short period of time, but you look at the game on Saturday, and nobody's really mentioned this. We were going to sign Griezmann, we didn't. That £90 million never got spent. The number 7 shirt never got filled, and we knew this at the start of June. We've just played Liverpool away with no number 10 because the one we played just didn't turn up. Do you think we're paying the price of not having a contingency plan for no Griezmann?
Well, when I'm looking at it now, I think that Zlatan was the contingency plan, which I know that sounds horrible because it's somebody coming off an ACL injury. But watching what happened, I think that it's absolutely horrible that we didn't have a contingency plan other than Zlatan, because I do believe at this point that Zlatan, when he is available and fit to come back, he's basically going to slide into the number 10 role, and it's going to be him with Lukaku because of how poor Mickey's been in the last couple of games. Like I hate getting on Mickey because he is somebody that has done a lot, even in not doing well, which makes you really frustrated because it makes you wonder, like, what is going on that is making you not perform at the level we all know you can perform at all times. Like, I mean, he did completely disappear in the game against Liverpool, which it's really frustrating for us as fans, because that's a game that we want. I know that all of us wanted to go in there and just batter them. We've been at all these teams that we drew to last year. that we had all these poor results against. We've been battering them this year, and it's a team that they're one of the worst defenses in all of the Premier League. And the fact that we didn't go in and try and just absolutely step on their throat from the start is something that is really disappointing for us as fans. And I think that's why a lot of people were frustrated, me included, that I think that we should be going into these squads and just absolutely battering people like Liverpool, that their defense is so poor. Like the fact that we only got one shot on goal is just it's atrocious, and it's not acceptable.
No, I agree. But thanks for calling, Andrew, and please do call again.
Yep, for sure, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Pog Boom has just made a comment on the live comments, which just jumped out at me, and he said, we were never going to get both Lukaku and Griezmann. Well, we'll never know now, but imagine if, well, £90 million is what Griezmann was going to cost. Were we going to spend that as well as what we did on Lukaku? I would hope so, because we actually needed both. I think we were going to be honest. I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt, the owners and Jose. I think that was the plan, and we've decided just to wait for another year. Drug Dealer Dog says Martial's a future Ballon d'Or winner. I mean, Martial was totally misused at the weekend. I have a theory, and I said this during the game on Saturday. I don't think Martial would have started that game if Rashford had been fully fit. Remember, Rashford had a knock, so we'd have been moaning even more if Martial hadn't started and we played that performance. It would have been embarrassing. But ultimately, the only reason I don't think United parked the bus at the weekend, and I am defensive of Mourinho, is because we had no number 10. So to say we parked the bus is very difficult when your number 10 doesn't turn up. We'll never know what we were supposed to do, because Mkhitaryan just had the worst game I've ever seen him play in a United shirt. And I've been editing the interview with Juan Mata today, which we're going to put up later this week, and the whole time I was editing it and seeing what a fantastic human being he is, as we know he is, and I know what a footballer he is as well. And the whole time I was editing it, I was just thinking, how did he not get 1 minute at Wanfield at the weekend? Mr. Consistent. I think Mata is the most consistent player who's been under Mourinho in the whole time Mourinho's been there. And he doesn't give him a minute at Anfield, and he lets that Mkhitaryan have an hour. And he was atrocious, and it was obvious he was atrocious after 10 minutes. So that is one thing that really frustrates me as well. The approach to the game was really frustrating. And obviously, it does, I've always said this Liverpool game's a bubble. If people want to be critical of the Liverpool performance, they've got every right. If you're jumping outside that bubble and say Mourinho needs to be sacked or he's not the right man for Manchester United, I think that's way beyond one result, and I don't agree with that. But in the bubble of the Liverpool game, which is where I'm critical of Mourinho, I think he made quite a few mistakes, and he is culpable, even though Mkhitaryan was the big problem for me because he just wasn't there. Mourinho saw what we saw, and he should have changed it at half time, and he had Mata. No international football for him over the international break. 100% fit, raring to go, didn't get a minute. Big mistake, because Mata has been, for me, Mourinho's most loyal and consistent performer, and for him to not get any game time, I thought was very, very naive. But people think Mourinho might have lost his special touch. I don't think we've seen enough evidence of that yet. I'm going to get Rodney on, because I haven't told Rodney. I can't get him on tomorrow night, because I'm actually doing Real Madrid versus Spurs watch along on That's Football tomorrow night at 8. So we won't have our normal show tomorrow night. But Rodney, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yep, just about.
Okay.
Yep, I can now. Give us your thoughts then, Rodney. I know you don't need any sort of guidance as to what to talk about. I know you'll have plenty. So what are your thoughts on weekend, Mourinho, Luke Shaw, whatever?
Okay, right. On the weekend, I'm still upset. I think I was super confident before the game. I think a lot of United fans would have been extremely confident considering the run of games that we've had where we scored goals in the last 20 minutes. I think for me, what's really upset me is the performance from the team. I know that there was a lot said on social media about Mourinho parked the bus, but I think if you look back at that squad, if you take that squad and put it on paper in front of you, you would never have said that was a defence-minded team. You would have said that the front line of that team would cause problems for any back four. You would have said that the midfield was combative enough to deal with anything that was thrown at them. And that's the kind of team that if you were to say that we were at Fellaini and Pogba, you would expect that team to play against the Barcelona in the Champions League or Real Madrid. You wouldn't have taken anyone else off of the bench apart from Mata. So listening to what you said a minute ago, I agree. How did Mata not get game time? Because Mkhitaryan, again, went missing. You know, he spent far too much time away from Lukaku. And everyone knows about Lukaku's first touch hasn't been great. So he needed someone closer to him so that he didn't have to kind of rush and gamble and try and struggle to regain possession. When if he'd have been closer to someone, he would have been able to say, you know, one or two touch and release the ball. At no point in time did he have that. At no point in time did the midfield put a ball over the top for him to stretch the back four, considering we knew how slow their back four was, especially the centre-backs. We never gave them the chance to really run down the channels. I mean, I could go on. From a performance of a Manchester United team that we've seen so far this season, that's probably our worst performance to date. And I don't agree with the fact of having a go at Mourinho and saying it's Mourinho's fault. Any manager will actually tell their team, we don't want to lose. Not to draw, we don't want to lose. And you would expect footballers to go out there and say, we're getting 3 points today, whether it's at home or at Anfield, or, you know, you'd want to get a sneaky 1-0 win away. Some say, oh, you know, it's okay that we're at Anfield and we've got a 0-0. That's fine. But imagine if this was a Champions League game and we went to Anfield and got a 0-0. We wouldn't be happy with it because we know that we get knocked out on the away goals rule. So you'd want us to actually take shots at goal. You'd want us to actually score goals at Anfield so that when they come back to our place, which they will do in the league, we'll actually turn them over. So for me, Mourinho may have said, yeah, we don't want to lose, but in terms of winning the game, that's down to the players. That's down to actual footballers who spend every day training, practicing, corners, free kicks, shooting. That's down to them. And we only had one shot on target in the home game, and that definitely isn't good enough.
No, I mean, it's not really been spoken about much, but it has been something that's been really frustrating me, and it frustrated me on the day. And not many people have mentioned it at all, and it's disappointing that why a bigger issue hasn't been made about Mata not getting a minute. I don't understand it. I think he's, as I said, the most consistent player. And you mentioned the Champions League there. We played Mata as a number 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did.
In Moscow. And
we did. With
Herrera and Matic behind him. And I just think, why he didn't... And he didn't even do it when he took Mkhitaryan off. He brought Lingard on, and, you know, Lingard was an improvement, but not much, because we'd lost the game by then, really, in relation to the flow of the game. But... yeah, I did. I think that was very disappointing. But he always takes Mata off after an hour, doesn't he? As well,
he does.
It's just a shame. I was good. There's a lot of things that gutted a lot of people at the weekend, and that was certainly one of them. Styson Furious has just made a very funny comment. I'm not going to say anything. I'll let the people in the live comments sort him out. But he says, Mark, why do you keep having a dig at Mourinho? You haven't given him a chance and have moaned since day one that you don't think he's a good fit. I think he's mistaken.
I think he must have another channel.
He must have another channel, I think. Sean Atwood says, if we can get Danny Rose, Willian, Griezmann and someone like Fabinho who can give Valencia a rest and fill in with midfield, we will win the league. That's a good comment by Sean, actually. We've obviously spoken about these comments that Mourinho's made, and my interpretation in my ever... backing of Mourinho, I can't not do it. It's hard, and I just think that these comments, as much as they are ill-advised because they've upset a lot of United fans, and he doesn't want to do that because they're very loyal to him. I think this talk of PSG and he won't stay here and finish his career here, I think it's frustration. I do. I think it's frustration, and I do think that he might have spent the same money as Pep, but Pep inherited a far better set of players than Mourinho did, and I think to be anywhere near the squad that City have got, or the squad Mourinho needs, he should be spending at least another 150 million, I think 200 million, just to get on a level footing with the squad that City have got.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Anyone that saw the highlights of that City game, you have to be, even if you're a United fan, you have to appreciate the level of passing that was happening in that game. De Bruyne's pass for the Sane goal is what you call mesmerising. That is world class. We need some. I'm not to say that we don't have anyone like that. Pogba can do that. But would Mourinho expect that from any of the midfield that we have at the moment? No. We talked about this at the end of the season. Fans would acknowledge it. we needed more than the 3 players that came in. We would have needed 6 or 7 players to come in because we finished 6, regardless of the trophy that we won. We finished 6. That's the reality of it. Some of those players just aren't good enough for Man United. They may have been before, but they're not now. We need to move on. We're expecting to win a trophy. And
I'll tell you what, Rodney, just to jump in on that, it's something that's been in my head, and I haven't really wanted to say it too much because if you say it at the wrong time, people take it the wrong way. And especially when we've been winning well, it's never going to have the sort of impact that I want it to have. I don't really feel comfortable saying it now because I'm not really sort of throwing these players under the bus. But in relation to what you've just said about City there, and Pep has got a good set of players, and I do think United still have a lot of players that are, they're good Premier League players, but they're not Premier League winning players, and they are still inherited players for Mourinho. And when I talk about those players, I'm talking about Darmian, obviously Van Gaal, Blind the same, Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Fellaini. You could even say Herrera. I think Herrera is a bench player in a very good team, and I've said that for a long time, as much as I like Herrera. So I'm up to 6 already, and I'm sure there's more. And that's
Ashley Young.
Ashley Young. Yeah, Ashley Young's another one. They're not bad players. They're I think we fall into this trap of they're good enough players to win a title, and I don't think they are. I think they are, they're Everton players. They're not Manchester United winning the title players, and I think they're the players that if Mourinho truly was backed, he would have moved on. And I hate to use Fellaini as the example because I know a lot of people know I'm not a big fan of Fellaini as a footballer, but when he is saying, and he has said this, I haven't got the players fit to deal with Henderson and Chan, and he's talking about Fellaini and Pogba, but he's talking about Fellaini, that is terrifying to me. That is terrifying that he misses Fellaini so much that he feels Fellaini is the right player to be better than Chan and Henderson. Manchester United should be talking about people like Toni Kroos, Nainggolan.
Yeah.
That's the sort of player that we need in our team to take us to the level that Pep is taking City to at the moment. But I would never go against Mourinho. I think Mourinho, the brilliance of Mourinho is he probably could win the title with the set of players we've got. And if he did that, he deserved knighting because I think there's still massive problems with this squad.
Yeah, there is massive problem. I mean, the players that you've listed, definitely, if we were thinking about replacements, we would have replaced them. When you talk about Fellaini, and I'm like you, Mark, I'm not a fan of Fellaini, but I have to give him credit for actually putting in the performances this year. He's got his name on the score sheet. And let's go another one. He's been picked for his national team. Is Ander Herrera being picked for his national team?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you know, seriously, as much as we may dislike Fellaini, can Ander Herrera get into that Spanish team? No, he cannot.
I don't think Fellaini would either, though.
No, he would. No, he wouldn't. But in all honesty, when you look at the players that Spain have got at their will, where they can bring in, when I've heard fans say, Herrera, he gets the club and he runs around, it's not enough. If you're not scoring 10 goals as a midfielder across the season, I don't know what you're doing on the pitch. I really don't know. It's not just about being defensive. I want you to score goals because your actual contribution to the game is providing chances for the strikers, wingers, and contributing in terms of goals. Now, we've had Man United squads that are, we've witnessed before where Scholes would have popped up for goals, Beckham would have popped up with goals, Giggs would have popped up with goals, Darren Fletcher would have popped up with goals. We're not seeing that now. We're not seeing that, and that's the reality. As much as we've had a very good start, that Liverpool game was an actual kind of, let's check ourselves, because even I was like super confident, and it was a reality check. Emre Can running around midfield like he was Messi against our midfield, and I just thought, no, this is a marker. And if anyone in Manchester United think, I can understand it being the international break as well, but we should have gone there with our tails up saying, we've played good football this season, we're going to score against you in your backyard. And we didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I said that, didn't I? Then it was the show I did with you last week, or it was another show. I said, this international break just really annoys me because Liverpool had a bad result at Newcastle. We'd obviously beat Crystal Palace. If it had just been the following weekend, I wonder whether we would have approached it any differently. Not in relation to Mourinho's tactics, but maybe the players would have just been a little bit sharper because they were poor. The players were poor at the weekend. Whatever people want to say about Mourinho's tactics, as soon as they go out on the pitch, he can't do anything. He didn't ask Mkhitaryan to disappear. He didn't ask Herrera and Matic to lose the ability to pass the ball. He didn't ask Darmian to just, well, he probably did, you know.
Oh, well, yeah,
but you know, the players didn't play anywhere near their capabilities. I mean, I said it last night. I thought Ashley Young has been a really good player for us. I don't know why he wasn't playing at left back because he didn't have a very good game out on the wide. But yeah, you know, we're still unbeaten. I think we'll beat Huddersfield at the weekend, and everybody will be positive again. But I think the next big game, obviously Spurs at home, but the Chelsea away game is probably the bigger one because it's like, do you think he's going to approach it any different to the way he did Liverpool twice, City last year? Do you think he's going to do anything different?
Well, if we get Pogba back, then yes. If we get Fellaini back, then I don't see Herrera starting the game. I really don't. I think no matter how much we may say that he gets the club, I think Fellaini has demonstrated to Jose that he can cope and he will get chances and he will unsettle the opposition and cause a problem in their back four, which, to be honest, that didn't happen on Saturday. So if we get those players back, there will be a different approach, definitely. And I think with that as well, when you've got someone like Fellaini, he's not going to, you know, because this is such a big encompassing individual, you need two people to mark him. So that frees up players like Martial to do what he needs to do. He'll get the ball and he'll be able to turn and go at the left or right back wherever he's playing. And that didn't happen at the weekend. So big games against Spurs and Chelsea definitely coming up. But hopefully with the players coming back, we'll see a different approach.
Thanks for calling in, Rodney. Brilliant as ever.
No worries.
And I'll speak to you later in the week.
Okay, no worries, pal. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, bye.
Rodney on for an extended period there because my fault as well. We normally have Rodney on a Tuesday, but I just remembered it's Tuesday tomorrow, and I'm doing a Real Madrid versus Spurs watch along on That's Football, which is a generic football channel. So if you want to join us for that tomorrow night, you can do. We'll also have a preview going up tomorrow for Manchester United versus Benfica. I don't know what time it's going to go up. It could go up as at lunchtime as a live, or it could go up as a pre-record, or I might do it after the match tomorrow or before it. I haven't decided how to do it yet. But Jared Pesserman's made another contribution. Thank you to that, Jared. He says the Jose story is even more interesting as January approaches. I think if the board fights whatever January demands he has, he will leave to PSG. 100%. And Sean Atwood, we've taken that one. Summit Dangel, thank you for the contribution. He says Philippe Luis has said that Griezmann was just using United to get a better contract at Atletico and had no intention to leave whatsoever. And Sean Smith has made a contribution as well. Thank you for that, Sean. And everybody who's contributed tonight, really, really appreciate that. Please, 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 as I always say on the Skype show on a Monday night, do drop a like. We've had some fantastic calls. We've also had some fantastic comments. We've had some brilliant comments where people have contributed as well and actually made really good points. Live comments, absolutely rocking as usual. And as I say, please do like it simply because the people who call in are, have been brilliant tonight, and you'll all get your opportunity, I'm sure, if you do keep calling in. So do like, if you're only going to like one video in the week on the United Stand, please do like this one and give those people who've called in that support for when they watch back, because they deserve it. This might be good coming transfer windows. Yeah, what I would say about PSG as well is that I'd forgotten who their manager is, Emery or something like that. But basically the PSG model at the moment is they want the best of everything. Neymar they've got Mbappe. The next thing they want the best goalkeeper in the world, so they're going to come after De Gea, who has the same agent as Mourinho, who is Mendes, who, if you have noticed with Mendes, does not have a good relationship with Manchester United because of the De Gea saga and the facts machine a couple of years ago. We've bought no Mendes players, and many of us, myself included, when we got Mourinho, I expected that relationship between Mendes, the agent, and United to improve. It's worsened. We've bought no Mendes players to United at all because he doesn't like United. That's the rumour. So how's about De Gea, his number one client after Ronaldo? He's not his number one client. De Gea, one of his big clients. Mourinho, his biggest manager client, both to PSG, and a big up yours to Manchester United. I would cry. I would absolutely cry because I love De Gea and I love Mourinho as a manager. And but money talks, and PSG want the best of everything. And the next thing for PSG, well, maybe it's not a goalkeeper, but they do want a goalkeeper. But one of the best managers in the world, definitely. The PSG are backed by billionaires. Money is no object at all. And they want the best of everything. They're living the life of, you know, billionaires. They don't need to work for it or anything like that. It's there. They don't want to build a club slowly or bring a manager in and let them build a club. They want the best. They want the best in place. And Mourinho, or Pep, I suppose, but he ain't going anywhere at the moment. Mourinho is the most famous manager in world football at the moment. And I suppose I've just walked myself into a trap that I don't want to walk into there, because as everybody knows, I love Mourinho, but I just think, Jose, why have you made these comments? Why have you made these comments about PSG? I hate PSG. I hate what they're doing to football. And you, of all people, you're the man I want for Manchester United manager, and I think you're definitely the right man. And you say things that we sort of always understand. You're having a little dig at the board. They've not backed you, and we back you. But you can't say things about another club like PSG, about how fantastic it is, because it just makes us feel like you don't like us. And if you do that, it's not a good thing, because United fans will always put United before everything. So he does need to be very careful. I hope tomorrow there is some comment from Mourinho to sort of bury these comments. And I hope he's not put it out there to the press that you're not allowed to ask questions about that, because he said it in the press. So he should be questioned about it in the press. And I hope he comes out tomorrow and says, I've been totally misquoted. That's not what I meant. I'm committed to Manchester United and I'm going nowhere. And we'd love that, wouldn't we? Mark, don't get too over emotional, says George Kyle. I'm not. Look, I just personally think Mourinho's has done it because he wants to be backed fully. And I think he sees what's happening with Man City, and he wants that full backing as well. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. If you are new to the United Stand, make sure you subscribe. Bottom right hand corner with the hologram. My favourite show of the week is the Skype show, because people call in and we have the interaction of the live comments, and that's what this channel is all about. We're live every night at 8 o'clock with a show. We've also, if you've not seen Red Rumours today, Red Rumours, a weekly show that goes up at 1 o'clock on the United Stand. It's got a brilliant intro. Really brilliant. I can probably show it you, maybe. Yeah, it's in that studio. So if you haven't seen me in that today, make sure you go and watch it. Just click the United Stand and you'll see it in the Manchester United News playlist. But yeah, get involved. Just keep getting involved, everybody. Really enjoyed the show tonight. I love the Skype show. And I will speak to you all tomorrow. There will be a preview going up tomorrow. Not going to be live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Very rarely happens that, but that's because I do want to watch Spurs versus Real Madrid, which I'm sure a lot of you do. So I'm going to do a watch along on That's Football. It's called That's Football, the channel. So do pop over there and subscribe and turn your notifications on. And when we go live tomorrow night at about 7:45, you can join me for that in the That's Football studio. But we will have a preview. Do drop your comments if you've not watched live and give us your thoughts on everything tonight. It's an interesting time. It's a very interesting time. And we'll see what happens. But thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the show. And do like the video for all our callers tonight and give them that support, because we've got a great community. The moderators have been fantastic as ever. George Kyle, I've seen him. Zach, I think I saw Tubes as well. Did I? But George and Zach, I've definitely seen loads of those. So thanks everybody. Thanks to everyone on the live comments. Really enjoyed the show tonight, and don't forget to download the OneFootball app, because that's what my motto uses, which you'll find out later in the week. Thanks for watching.